Then good afternoon to everybody. So there are 40 students. Yeah, good afternoon everybody. There are 40 students now. So including me, there are 41 students. So now I have started the recording of this lecture of this class. So I request all the students who have joined to use the chat box and drop your last three digits roll number. That is for my cross reference. So by some chance, if anybody gets disconnected, okay, so not to miss, I want each one of the student to drop your last three digits roll number in the chat box so that I can consolidate that as the attendance. Okay, so all of you please drop. Okay, so there are 43 students now. 43 students. Okay. Okay, 44 now. So I also request those students who will be joining till late to please drop their number into the chat box so that I can consolidate the list and inform the same thing to the head of the department and subsequently to the principal. Okay, so now let us start today's session. So I have taken a buffer of 10 minutes starting and 10 minutes ending. So that's the reason why I scheduled the class for 1.5 hours. But within 1.5 hours, I'll try to complete it. Okay. So in the last classes, we have been discussing about the C++ concepts which are pertaining to inheritance, and we have appreciated with several examples the different types of inheritances and the advantages along with the subsequent inner topics of the public inheritance with the virtual base class, pure virtual functions. Then we have also discussed about the abstract base class. Okay, so and hybrid inheritance. The problem, the solution for hybrid inheritance, which is the virtual base class. So in today's class, we will see another important aspect of object-oriented programming principle, which is called as generic programming. Generic programming. Okay, so we will address what do you mean by generic programming in today's class, and we will also understand how to write a generic program module in the C++ environment or in the C++ IDE. Okay, so before I take up the session, I'm expecting that you can probably take the notes along with the pen and sit next to your system or next to your mobile. And whenever you are unable to follow, please use the chat box, and also you are welcome to interrupt me at any time by using the microphone by unmuting it. Okay. So today's topic is generic programming, which is offered in C++ by the notion of C++ templates. So before we go into this, I hope you have started practicing the inheritance problems which we have discussed in the last class. Okay, if not started, I advise those students to ensure that you are completing the topics which are covered without actually waiting for the lab slot to actually come in our campus. Okay, so because you can start working with any online IDEs, including the offline compilers which are installed in your computers. Okay, so shall I go ahead? If anybody has any doubts, you can probably raise now in terms of inheritance and in terms of anything. Okay, so can somebody acknowledge so that I can proceed? So am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So shall I proceed? C++ templates. I mean, okay, yes, fine, okay. So what is the concept of C++ templates? So please notice that templates are extremely powerful features which are offered in C++ by the incorporation of something called as STL. STL stands for Standard Template Library. STL. Okay, Standard Template Library. So now C++ templates, actually in C++, templates are classified into two types. You can write a template function or you can also write a template class. Okay, so the major difference of C and C++ is the incorporation of class. And now this is yet another important difference of C++ templates. And these templates generic programming flavor is not supported in the C programming environment. So this is another difference between C and C++. You have generic programming feasibility or the generic programming modularity is being supported in C++, which is not supported in C. This is one of the very important difference. Okay, so and this is achieved by using what in C++? By using STL. STL is whose full form is Standard Template Library, allows the programmer to logically write the modules which are data type independent, which actually serves as the generic modules at the time of implementation and which can bind to any data type at runtime. Okay, these generic modules allows the programmers or the coders to start writing the code in a generic way without actually worrying too much about the data types. Okay, so that means what is the advantage the coder is getting at the time of coding? He doesn't care about the data type. I'll take up one example and then subsequently we'll start coding C++ generic programming in today's class, and we will appreciate what is the importance of these templates. So I'm just giving a comprehended a overview, a macro level advantage of C++ templates. So let me repeat the point. The advantage that the coder will get here is at the time of writing the logic or at the time of writing a module, it is possible for the coder not to worry or not to specifically take care about a specific data type to handle the data. So that data can be of any generic data type. That generic data type can be written at the time of programming, and that generic data type can be replaced with a specific data type at runtime. Okay. So let us dig into the details. Now, I'll take up a simple example. So with this simple example, you will understand and appreciate the concept of C++ templates. Now, again, let me repeat another point. In C++, templates, there are two possibilities. A coder can choose a template function, C++ function template, or the coder can also opt for C++ class template. So initially, we will focus on how to write a function template. Okay, and what is the syntax of writing a C++ function template? And subsequently, the next topic will be how to write a C++ class template. So notice that this is an extremely important topic. Okay, so let me proceed. So with this background, if anybody has any specific doubts which are not technical, I mean the general, I have given the general flavor of what is the advantage. Before I dig into the technicalities of taking an example and then starting the programming, if anybody has any doubts, you are welcome to use either the chat box or the microphone. Anybody has any doubts? Let me check the participants.
No, sir.
Participants 52. Okay, good. Balaji is there? 154. Absent. 124. 124. She is there. Okay, good.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead. 147. 147 absent. Okay. 164, 165, 135 absent. No, present.
Sir, voice is breaking.
Yeah, how about now? Who is speaking?
Anusha, sir.
Yeah, Anusha, I'm getting my voice again. You please,
I'm Anusha.
yeah, please mute your microphone.
Sir, okay, sir. Voice was breaking. That's why I on the phone.
No, you switch on the headset, but don't switch on the microphone. Okay. Okay, fine. So 52 students have joined. Fine. Okay, so let us understand the coding principles. That means how to technically incorporate the C++ templates by using which the programmer can generally can generalize the program, or a coder can write a module with the generic programming flavor. Okay, so let me take an example. So let us go to the next slide. Yeah, this is about the fundamentals. Let me please run through the concepts once again. So what is the advantage of C++ templates? It will allow the coder to emphasize and program without worrying about a specific data type. That means you are talking about the generic programming in C++. That is point number one. And second, it is useful for applying a generic algorithm and think to implement as a single module. That means you don't have to confined about a specific data type. So once the algorithm is ready, we'll see some second and third examples where we will find the generic solutions than the specific data type based solutions. Okay, so now the third point is in C++ IDE, the C++ templates are provided to the programmer in two options. Option number one is usage of function templates, and the second option is usage of class templates. So what is the advantage? If you use class templates, you are addressing the data privacy. On the other hand, if you don't use class, that means you are still in a position to generalize using function templates, where you are addressing the generic programming part in your design, but you are not concerned about the data privacy. So both these two are very important. So quite often function templates are quite commonly asked for 2 marks, whereas usage of class templates and its corresponding code to write a generic C++ class template is typically asked for either 4 marks or 5 marks in the long answer questions, and it is almost a every time every year asked the question. Okay, because you will understand what is the importance of it. Now there is something called as dynamic casting. So what I mean by this dynamic casting? So please again recall, we are studying this templates under polymorphism. So just go back to the polymorphism classification. You have static and dynamic. Now under dynamic polymorphism, templates will sit. So what is that? What does that mean? That means the programmer at the time of coding, by using the C++ template syntax, at the time of coding, the programmer doesn't care about the data type. Okay, so in other words, when you write a function, the invocation of that function at that time, that means during the runtime, you are actually binding a specific data type. Similarly, when you are invoking an object, binding the data inside the class of that object will happen at runtime. So therefore, a dynamic casting is defined as invoking the function, which is in the case of function template, or binding the data with a specific data type, which is in the case of class template, will happen at runtime. Therefore, this comes under dynamic polymorphism. Okay. So this is also a little bit technical details or the introduction, which summarizes that at the time of coding, the programmer doesn't know for which data type he is writing either a function or a class, but at runtime it will identify which data type it is executing. So therefore, the two concepts, which are function templates and class templates, sits under dynamic polymorphism. Okay. So am I clear? Anybody has any doubts? Let me use chat box. Yeah, anybody has any doubts? Shall I proceed? Can somebody come in? Somebody please respond. Can I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. Fine. Okay, so now consider an example. Consider the example like this. So assume that you are asked to swap two integers. This is the function that you will be probably writing. Yes or no? Okay. So only when you use probably call by reference or reference parameters aspect, reference parameters arguments, then only whatever changes you will be doing inside the main will be getting reflected. Yes or no? This is the swap function. So in this swap function, you have two arguments. So in main, you are passing, let us say, two integers. Let us say swap of p comma q, where p is equal to 2 and q is equal to 3. And if you swap by using this function, the values of p and q will be getting swapped. Yes or no? The values of p and q in main will be getting swapped. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So this is the swap function. In order to swap the two integers at which can be used in order to swap two integers from main, and it can be called by any function. I mean, it can be called wherever you want, isn't it? So similarly, assume that you want to swap two characters. This is the same function where you have to use the swap, and then you have to pass the two characters, and then you have to take a temporary variable into char type, and then you have to swap. Yes or no? So similarly, if I want to swap two floating point data type, and again if I want to use the swap to swap two variables, so this is the function call which I have to write or which I have to implement in order to swap two contents of two floating point variables. Now if you observe these three examples, the procedure is same, only thing is the data type is different. Yes or no? Swapping procedure or swapping logic is same, only the data type is different, isn't it? So is it not possible, or is it possible to write a generic function swap, something like this, a generic function swap with a generic data type address of a or address of formal, and the second argument also with the reference parameters concept variable type. And is it possible to substitute all these three functions with this single function? Otherwise, what happens is, assume that user is willing to swap the two integers, and also user is willing to swap two character variables, and also user is willing to swap two floating point numbers. Then till now the concepts with which we have studied, how is it possible? How is it possible? What concept will you use?
Function overloading.
Exactly. So you have to use function overloading, and you need to write the entire code for 3 times, isn't it? So that is nothing but a quite a lot of redundant code that you are keep on substituting only because there is a change in the data type. Okay. So, is it possible? Is it possible to overcome this redundant code by writing a single function and replacing, or not to worry about the data type, not to worry about the data type at the time of coding? So the answer is yes, it is possible by using function template. Now I am introducing the syntax of writing a function template. Okay. So also notice that if you use the concept of function overloading for examples like this, it is simple, because here you have typically some 3 to 4 lines. But if the procedure is lengthier, for example, you have 4,000 to 40,000 lines of code, and the procedure is same. Only thing is you need to change the data types or the module is same and you need to re-implement the entire thing only because there is a change in the data type, then it will be a very tedious or cumbersome. So in order to overcome this technically, C++ supports function templates. Now here we will be using the concept of function templates only to generalize the module so that it can be mapped to any data type. And here the data privacy is not addressed because you are not imposing the restriction of class. Okay. So notice that you have 3 modules like this. I want to convert that into a single module like this. Notice that this is not the technical syntax of swap. Sir, 168 is trying to join the class, but it's coming unable to join. I think 168 has joined now, it seems. Okay. So is it possible to write? The answer is yes, and it is possible by using the function template. So now what is the syntax? The syntax is this. This is the technical syntax of writing the swap function. Okay, so just before writing the swap function implementation, you need to attach this entire module of swap to the standard STL. Remember, I have already used. No, sir, he still didn't join. Maybe some other device, or ask the student to use any mobile phone or app to start joining into the session. Okay, so meanwhile, let me take up. Anyway, the recording is also available. It will be available post the lecture. So if attendance is concerned, so what is that roll number? 168. Okay, so ask roll number 168 to call me after the class. Okay, so that I can understand what is the problem which is happening at around 4:30 or 5. Okay, I think 178 can inform to 168. Okay, so fine. Let us come back to the solution. The solution is on the right hand side of your screen. You can see that there is something called a template. Now notice that template space. This template is a keyword followed by less than and greater than, and saying that it is class. So template less than greater than class is the syntax. Template is a keyword, class is also is a keyword. Now T is a substitutor. It is a generalized data type substitutor. So remember our earlier function calls. Yeah. So you had 3 modules. In these 3 modules, there are typically 2 arguments. Now the thing which I need to generalize is the data type of the list of the arguments. So therefore, whatever generalized data type that you want to handle, instead of your regular data type, you substitute with the generalized data type argument, which you are saying that this module is attached with STL. So remember, I'm again repeating, I'm using STL. STL is standard template library. So when you use a syntax like this, then what it does is there is a already class. Please listen. There is already a class which is a STL class in C++ package. That is a standard template class. To that standard template class library, you are attaching your user-defined swap function as a generalized procedure where T is a generic data type which can change at runtime, where capital T is a generic data type which can change at runtime, having the function definition so and so. Okay, so this is the implementation of function template. Okay, so what is the context from main? So if you see from main, assume that you have 2 variables. You have 2 variables, meaning A and B with 2 and 3. No, sir, still. Okay. Before I proceed, anybody has any doubts? This is the syntax. The syntax is template less than greater than class T and then followed by your function. What is this syntax? This syntax is to write the C++ template. C++ template function. That is called as function template. Anybody has any doubts? Can somebody please respond? Anybody has any doubts? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so so if there are two integers, let us say a and b. If there are two integers, let us say a and b. And if you want to swap the values of a and b in main, so you are using the same function name, which is swap, and you are passing the actual variables a and b. Now, when your program is getting executed at this line where I have indicated arrow now this t is getting substituted as integer at runtime. Remember, at compilation time, t is a template. It's something like a wrapper. Okay. So now at this arrow, when you are executing this line by line, because it is sequentially executed programming language, so a and b are of what data types? They are signed integers. That means it is integers. So t is substituted with int, and your procedure will be getting executed with int, where t is replaced by int at runtime. So similarly, if you have two variables, let us say c and d, which are floating point data type, now t will be substituted as float. T will be substituted as float, and your entire procedure will be executed with the t replaced by float, and swapping will be done. And similarly, when you have two variables which are of char, okay, which are of char data type, now your t is again now substituted as char. So your function will be getting executed. So as a result, what is that you are doing? The redundant code which otherwise is required if I would have used a overloaded function is now getting replaced with a single module, which is a generic code. Okay, so this is more professional way of writing a generalized module than the overloaded same function with the same implication multiple times. So this eases the coder to not only code but also to maintain. Okay, so let us start coding this, and then we'll go to the second example. Shall I proceed? Anybody has any doubts? I think some of the student has used this online GDB, which is a Linux-based online compiler. So let me start using this. So is the code editor is visible? And if anybody has any doubts, you are welcome to use your microphone and interrupt me now. Please acknowledge. 178, roll number 178 is making a context switch of leaving and again entering into the session. It seems there is some problem. But other students, is there any doubts? Are you following? 53 students are there. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So hash include iostream and then using namespace. Yeah, I think which student has used this? 171, I think. 171 or 173. 126. What's her name? Priya. Supriya. She's not there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir. I'm able to follow.
Okay, fine. So let us start writing the template. Template what? Template function. Please remember you have two things in. Yeah, I have to write int. So remember in C++ you have two things: function template or class template. Okay. So now I'm discussing about the function template. So in main, assume that I have two integers. Let us say p is equal to 2 and then q is equal to 3. Now I want to print the values of integers, that is p and then q with a tab space. Now I want to swap. I'll use p comma q. Okay, so now I want after this my integers with p / t with q and so return one is a true process. So also always note that the templates needs to be attached to STL, which is a standard template library, which is a built-in package that comes along with the C++ compiler. So the syntax of attaching the STL allows the programmer mandatorily to write the function template or the class template above main. Don't write the templates below main. So first of all, you need to use the keyword template and class followed by T. Here you can use your own name also, but professionally T is been opted because T stands for template. Okay, so now I need to use what? No. This is template, right? So this is the line which is used in order to attach to STL, standard template library. Now, which entity you are attaching a module? What is the module name? Swap. How many number of arguments? 2. What are the data types? Generic data type T. Reference parameters. Let us take T address of A and T address of B. So in this T, which is a generic data type, let us say that as a temporary variable temp. Now you take you take a backup of A and then start corrupting A becomes B, then B becomes temp. Okay. So this I have completed for integer. Let us run this and let us cross verify and make sure that this fellow is getting executed. So let me save this. Now let me start running this. I think and this. So fine. Swap, this function is void, so void is again in the std scope. Just use std scope. However, it is not required. Writing std scope is not required. It is required only for a function which is returning void. Okay, so can you able to see the output? Here it is 2 3 and then later it is 3 2, but I think 2 3, yeah, 2 3 and then 3 2. Are you following? Everybody is sleeping. Please respond. 127.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay, so now let us continue our thing with probably float. So let us say float maybe f1 as 2.4 and another variable f2 as 4.6. So what I'll do is I'll simply copy paste the same process. I want to change only the data type where f1 is this, f2 is this with floating point. Now here I have to print f1, here I have to print f2, again I have to print back again here f2, I have to print back here as f1, I have to use the function f1 and the function f2. So when I compile this, so what is the advantage of template? Now you can understand. See, even your function is written only once, it is executing and it is swapping both the integers as well as floating. Clear? Clear? Here, please respond. Clear? Yes or no? I think maybe you are using chat. Let me check.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me check. Box. Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir. Yes.
142 is responding. Okay, maybe now what I'll do is, all of you please listen. I think there are 52 students. You will have quiz 3 that includes this syllabus also on Monday. So I'm not able to listen your voice. Again, please go through the recording. I think others are not having any problem. Anybody, any other student is having the same problem of my voice? Can somebody come in? 121, what about the voice clarity? Is it good? Breaking of voice. Please confirm once. Is my voice is good?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir, clear.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, because I think we are done with only quiz 1. All of you please start writing quiz 2 on Monday. Okay, Monday you will have quiz 2. I will rejoin. Fine, you can rejoin. So on Monday you will have quiz 2. Syllabus will be whatever you have left from quiz 1. That includes the first internal portion till class. Okay. Okay. And I will devise the questions in such a way that you cannot do the process of mass copying, meaning you cannot take a snapshot and then put it in your students' WhatsApp and then share among your 60 students. That will not happen. That cannot happen. I'll assure that it will not happen. Okay. Anyway, no, I just to grab your attention, I'm just using this as a pinch. Anyway, let us complete this char. Okay, so let me take character 1, which is C, character 2, which is P. Now again, let me copy the same thing. Now this is, instead of int, this has to be char. Instead of P, this is ch1. Instead of Q, this is ch2. Again, this fellow is ch2. And this fellow is ch. Okay. So let us compile, and this will demonstrate the usage of function templates that is now in a position to execute the same module whose data type will change at runtime. Because now notice that your functions entities at the time of compilation is getting attached to the standard STL as a single entity, but only at the runtime your entity will be now translated to your primary data types in our example, which are integer, float, and character. I think the last statement I have to change that as a char. Okay, so is the concept is clear? This is char. Is the concept is clear? If anybody has any doubts, you can use your microphone. Use on Tuesday. Okay, fine. I'll get back to about the quiz. Quiz later we'll decide. Thursday. You want it on Thursday? Fine. No problem. I don't have any problem. Whenever you want to write, you inform me. I'll conduct. Simple. Okay. So did you understood? Now please notice that write a function template. Write a C++ function template to swap two numbers. Means you have to write the highlighted portion, which is line number 4 to line number 11. Don't start writing run once again. Okay, let me run once again. Where is that run button? Okay. Okay, so initially integer is 2, 3. You are swapping 3 to floating point 2.4.6. You are getting swapped. Character is not getting swapped. Why?
Sir, characters not swapped.
Let me check. CP, I think I'm passing still P and Q. So I have to replace this with CH1, CH2. Yeah, let me rerun this. Okay, characters also are getting swapped. Okay, here. Anybody has any doubt? Anybody has any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So let me go ahead with the next.
No, sir.
Sir, what if we
Sir.
both arguments are different data types? Different data types. Okay, so fine. What you are probably asking me is, now is it possible to write a template function with overloading? The answer is yes. So instead of one generic data type which is T, somebody has asked, is it possible to write a function template with two generic data types? The answer is yes. Okay, so maybe let me define another function. Let us say fun, which returns void. Okay, now I have to attach this fellow also as a template. So template class T is one data type, class T, and then probably T, and then let me use T1 and T2. T1 is one data type and T2 is another data type. Okay, so in fun, I'm using two generic data types. Let us say T1X. I'm using T2, let us say Y. Now in main, what I'll do is I'll make this X as integer, that means T1 as integer and T2 as float. And I'll try to add and then I'll try to print. Let us see what will happen. X is int and oh no, not X, T1. T1 is int, T2 is float. Notice that we already have P, which is an integer. Notice that we already have F1, which is a floating point. So what I'll do is I'll print. So here cout print x plus y. Okay, I'll just write a statement saying that this is only for testing. Two templates. Okay. So what I'll do is just before return one, I'll call this fun. First fellow is P. Second fellow is what? F1. Okay, so if I do this, then F1 is what? F1 is 2.4 and 2. So I'll be getting 0.4. I'm getting 7.6. No, I got 2.
Sir, F1 is swapped. No, sir.
Yeah, it is swapped. So is that correct? Swapped means 3 plus, yeah, 3 and then 4.6. That is correct. That means 7.6. That is correct. Because it got swapped, so F2 is 4.6 and Q was 3, so 3 plus 4.6. Now what is this? This is the logic of combining multiple data types with generic at compilation time, and it is also possible to invoke these generic data types with any data types. Now here remember there could be a problem. The problem is if you write, for example, if I want to write another function, let us say fun1 and fun2, here I said integer and then float. Now let us assume that I want float and then int. Then you cannot write two generic functions with the same number of arguments because you are violating the function overloading definition. Okay. Anyway, beyond this, it is not there in the syllabus. As of now, please understand the essence are usage and the advantage of usage of function templates, the syntax of using it, using a single data type, because double data types is quite, I mean, these are not normally asked in the exams. So this is the syntax. The next point is a function template can be overloaded. It can be overloaded. Okay, so you can have 2 arguments, 3 arguments. Okay, or you can have a generic function, generic data type along with a specific data type also. Okay, shall I proceed? Any other doubts? Okay, somebody said, what happens instead of int float can?
Sir, why can't we write? Sir, why can't we write T1x and
Why can't we write? Why can't we write? Can you repeat?
sir, why can't we write T1, Tx and Ty in while adding?
Where
Why can't we write Tx and Ty while adding?
while adding you can write
Ty while adding.
uh,
Tx and Ty. Can
I got your doubt. What you are saying is similar to this swap. I want to use the t, which is tx and ty. So you can do that, but only thing is when you are invoking the function, the data type has to be single because you are talking about t. That means only one. Now see at line number 33, you are passing two arguments which are of different data types. Now, if you want to, let us say, want to pass fun of p comma q, then what you said is correct. Tx comma ty. Did I answer your question?
okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Because as this is my requirement. My requirement is I want to handle both p and f1, where p is integer and f1 is float. This can also change. So if there are two different data types, then the question is it possible to write a template? It is possible. This is the syntax. So please remember the syntax wise, how to write multi-data type generic function modules in C++. Okay. Shall I proceed? So let us go back to the,
Sir, can we write?
yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
can we write STD scope resolution fun?
You can do that.
STD scope resolution fun.
Yeah, you can do that, but actually writing STD scope resolution is not at all required for installed compiler, because this fellow is not attaching me that to the STL. I am using STD scope resolution. It is not required. We'll see in the next examples. Okay, so maybe let us go to the other examples. Now let us see this. Okay, so second example is implement a C++ generic function. Please notice that there is no word of C++ function template. Question is being asked to implement a C++ generic function. That means you have to mandatorily write function template. What is the requirement? In order to sort the elements of an array. Now let us take an array which is a static array. Okay, the requirement of the problem is you are asked to write a generic function. That means you have to mandatorily use function. Because it is a generic function, you have to apply the concept of function template. And he has also been asked to sort by using the selection sort with three entities. One is integer, second is float, and third is name. So let us take this. Problem is clear? So in this second example, this will demonstrate how to handle or how to write a generic function that can tackle the arrays. So one array is integer marks, second array is the CGPA, third array is a array of name, array of characters. So let us start coding it. So before that, are you noting down this in the notes? Or else you want me to copy this code and then put it in the group? I'll do that. You want me to copy this?
Put it in groups, sir.
Yeah, I'll copy this, and then what is I'm going to desktop. Is desktop is also visible to you? I think it is not visible. Just using desktop. We are going very slow speed. I just saved it. Now the example slide is visible. Please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the requirement is you are asked to write a C++ generic function in order to apply the selection sort for integer marks, floating point CGPA, and names. So for that, I'll be again writing a function template. You are asked to write a generic function template. Is the IDE is visible? I've started coding.
Yes, sir.
Please respond. Only when you respond, then it will be a sort of encouragement for me. Otherwise, it is like, I'm talking to system.
Visible, sir.
Yeah, fine. So let us use the function name. What is the function name we normally use? Do sort, do cell sort. Okay. Another aspect is it necessary to write a function declaration? It is not necessary. Please notice that earlier example also we have not written the function declaration or function signature or function syntax. Okay, so only thing is directly you can attach the module to the STL. So line number 4 talks about the attachment of the following segment to the STL, and line number 5 onwards till wherever your closing brace exists, you are asking to attach that entire thing as a generic module. Okay, so what is the requirement? It is do cell sort. Now, in order to sort, you have to take a general data type which is T. Now I have to make T star. Let me take probably a capital A, and I also need number of elements. So number of elements for any of the case, it is int, isn't it? Isn't it? So it is specific data type. So this also clearly tells you that it is possible to write a C++ function to combine a generic data type along with a specific data type. So T is a generic data type, int is a specific data type. Now here I am going to define probably 3 arrays. One is integer, maybe I'll directly statically declare it. Okay, so I'm just using A, then float. If you want, you can also accept, let me remove from A, it is now let us say marks M. Okay, so float CGPA of 5 students. Then let me take char name of equal to, let us say, COVID. Okay, so here some random values 30, 40, then 20, then 10, then 50, maybe 50 at the beginning, 10 here, then 20 here, and then which is missing 40. Okay, so this is 3.2, some values I'm pumping, 1.5, then 7.8, then 2.6, then 4.5. These 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So there are 3 variables. I'm just saving my time not to ask the user and then run a loop and then be a time. I hope you are following. I'm taking 3 samples. Please, somebody come in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me take, I don't need any loop control variable. No, I need a loop control variable because I need to display before and after sorting. So you use I. Now see out. Now let us start with integers. So integer what m? Integer m before you sort. Before you sort is for I is equal to 0, I is less than how many elements? 5 elements. I plus plus. Okay, so see out. You are displaying m of I, then a backslash t space. Backslash t space, that's it. Okay, now here, so So array is displayed. Now I need to do cell sort. Which array I have to pass? M. How many elements? 5 elements. Then integers after sort. This is okay. Let us test this. This fellow is executing. So let us complete this cell sort, or let me complete C and then. So my other modules are also same like this here, and then here is over. This is what floating point. What is the floating point data? It is C, CPA. Now this is C. I have to again pass C. Yeah, and then after. So here it is float. This is C. This is again C. Floating point is completed. Next is string. String, anyway, you have the number, you have the name, that is dangerous virus. C out. Before is this. What is this? That is name, or yes, name. Now do cell sort name. How many elements are there? 6. Okay. Then C out. After. Okay. So this is the implementation that I have to do in main. Now let us complete our selection start. Int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Int j is equal to 0, j is equal to I plus 1. J is less than n, j plus plus. What has to be compared? If a of I is greater than a of j, then I have to copy that into T, my generic data type T. Let us take that as temp. Now in temp, take a of I. Now corrupt a of I. Change a of j with selection start function, and then there are 3 arrays which are there in main. Because of restriction of time, I have used static arrays. If you want, you can declare this array and then loop it and ask the user to enter the samples of m, n, and accept the name. Okay, so let us compile this. There are some errors. Let me check. Errors. Line number 9. Line 9. I didn't declare j. I have to declare int.
For loop, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is correct.
Sir, line number 4, j less than n.
Number 4.
Line number 9, sir.
Oh, sorry. J is less than n. J plus plus. Anything else? I think there is some error in line number 29. I is not declared. Oh, semicolon is missing here. I copied and pasted. There are all these errors. Because array I have already given. Okay, so this is the before is this 40, 30, 50, 10, 20, and after is this. So you got the sorted data, that is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Again, before this is the unsorted data, which is the floating point data, and after you got the sorted data, and then before is corona, and after you got the ascending order. Clear? Are you following? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us move on to the next topic. Next example, another example. Go through this example. Is it visible? The slide is visible? Let me go through the,
Yes, sir.
let me go through this example. This is, you are asked to construct a generic C++ function. Okay, so you are asked to implement a C++ generic function that must accept n entities at runtime. See, we start with a simple example, function with the two data types. Then second example, function with the static array. Now this example, function with array at runtime. Okay, so construct a generic C++ function which must accept n entities at runtime. Okay, from main, and return the indices of minimum and maximum data samples in the entered set. Okay, so let us reconsider our previous example. You got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, isn't it? So here the problem is you are not asked to sort, you are asked to find by using linear search where is the minimum and where is the maximum, but both has to be returned. And later you are asked to demonstrate for integer data set and for string. String you consider multi-token string. So next bullets points are the analysis. The first 4 lines is the problem. Is the problem is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So please notice that there is no word again here to ask C++ function template. Whenever you find a question saying that you are asked to implement a C++ generic function, you must mandatorily write a C++ function template. If you write all other logics, and even if you do your selection sort or linear search, everything is correct, that means, and if you are not applying the concept of template, that means you don't know how to write a C++ template. Okay, so understand the problem first. So this problem, the requirement is in order to write a function template that needs to tackle the array at runtime. Array at runtime in main. You have to maintain the array at runtime in main. How many arrays? 2 arrays, because one is integer and second is the string. Okay, so that is first point. Second point is you need to attach it. So let us assume that your function name is get min max. Now that a function cannot return 2 things. A function cannot return 2 things. But your problem says I want where is the minimum value and where is the maximum value in the entire data. So in one loop, you need to find where is the minimum and where is the maximum. Those indices you have to return back to the main. So those indices you keep into a local variable. So that is the third argument, int star. So let me repeat. Get min max is my function name. Okay, whose purpose is find where is the minimum quantity and where is the maximum quantity, and I'm also assuming that no 2 data samples are same. Then first argument, constant t star, because you are not asked to swap, so you should not compromise on data, so it has to be constant. Okay, so for any data type, t star, for n such data type, for example 5 in our earlier example, I need to fill up this int star array, which is a changeable value. Okay, wherein in this array I will fill up in the first element where is the minimum value, and in the second element where is the maximum value. That means I'll fill up the indices. and there in main, I can fetch back the values. Okay. Shall I start executing this or start implementing it? If anybody has any doubts, you can raise. So this is an example which will demonstrate how to pass multiple elements in a single function call, and how to combine that function call with a generic data type along with a specific data type and attach it to the STL. Can somebody please come in? Can I start implementing? And anybody has any doubts?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me save this fellow also. So I'm just copying this, and yeah, after this class I'll put it. Now, I'm sorry. What I'll do is I'll go to home, and then all this I'll delete. Okay. So my function name is get min max constant t star. Okay. Then how many number of elements? That is also constant. Constant int number of elements n. Then int star my indices. This is nothing but probably the buffer. Okay. So I'll leave that empty. Now what I'll do is, you are asked to create two integers. Let us say int a initially pointing to null n. Okay. Now see out, enter the value of a of ASN. Read it, CN. So now n is ready. Now you need to request the memory. So this is new int of a is equal to new int of how many elements? N. Assume that memory exists. If a is still is null, then you write a statement saying that cout, there is no RAM, and directly you can return false. Okay. So you'll come here only if it is true. So I need a loop index variable which is I placed with 0. For I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Now cout a of I equal to now Cn a of I. So this is where you got the array. Let us print the array. Cout array a is equal to, for I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Cout a of I. Okay. Now I need to find where is the minimum and where is the maximum. So what is the function name? The function name is get min max. So I'll use int. I need to find two answers. So answer of 2. Okay. Now get min max of I'll pass A, then I need to pass that there are n number of elements, which is my second argument. I will pass the base address of answer. So what I'm going to do is inside get max, I'm going to update the value of answer, where internally in answer of 0, I will have the index place where I'm getting the minimum value, and in answer of 1, I will have the index place where I'm having the maximum element. Okay, so that I'm going to print. See out. Just 1 minute, give me 1 minute. As Akshu नीचे जाओ, मैं क्लास में ये बोलेंगे, जाओ नीचे को जाओ, हाफ एन आवर के बाद दरवाजा डाल दो. Okay, so see out. Minimum is at answer of 0, and the value is in A of in that answer of 0. Please interrupt me if you are not following. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So similarly, the maximum. This is minimum, and now I need to also print the maximum. Maximum is at answer of 1. The value is at answer of 1. Okay. Now I need to find minimum and maximum, which is a straightforward simple logic. So assume that int I is equal to 0. So assume that both min is 0 and max is also 0. Okay, so start from I is equal to 1 till I is less than n. I plus plus. Okay, so if think about minimum, if a of I is still less than a of minimum, then I have to change the minimum index as I. On the other hand, if a of I is found to be more than a of max, then I have to change the index of maximum. Does it make sense? I am finding the indices of minimum and maximum, and once my loop is done, then in min and max I got the indices. That means in buff of 0 I have to store min, and in buff of 1 I have to store max. So because you are changing buff here and you are using call by reference here, this buff which is having minimum and maximum will be getting replaced, will be getting reflected back in your answer. Are you following? Anybody please come in.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
yeah, let us compile this. I think I need to delete it. I didn't delete. Let us delete that also. Okay, so let me take 5 elements. I think the debugger is down. Yeah. So you have 0. Let me give 30, then 10, then probably 40, then 50, then deliberately I am giving the distinct values. So I hope this is correct. Minimum is found at 1. This is 0, 1. Yeah, this is at 1. And the value is 10. Maximum is found at 3. And the value is 50. Okay. Maybe when I'm displaying A, let me keep \t. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let me keep okay, so this is how to handle let me delete. This is not clean, so delete delete of which array? A. I've used a static array as well, which is answer. If you want, you can also use this as dynamic. How do you do that? Int star answer equal to what? New int of 2. After this, you delete this fellow also. Delete. Okay. So let us run this. Let me give some 7 elements. 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 2, 2, and then maybe 1. Minimum value is at 6, value is 1, maximum value is at 2, and the value is 7. Okay. Here. Now I want the same generic module which I have implemented for finding the minimum and maximum locations, along with reflecting back in main, and once you got the control in main, you are printing the values. I want the same thing to happen with the string. So that means assume that you have a string. So just before this, what I'll do is add, let us say star name. Okay. Again, you can initialize this as null because this is what has been told in the problem. Let me go back to the problem. What is the problem saying? You demonstrate it for integer data set and for string. Okay. So now after this, you ask the user cout enter name. You need to allocate memory as well. So enter names n. Okay. So let us assume that it is n. In n. So I have updated the value of n. Now I'm assuming that user is giving the correct value of n. For example, Vasavi means user has to give 6. Now next what? Next is name again. New char of n plus 1 null terminator. Now what? Cout enter the name. Cin you can use cin dot getLine, right? Cin dot getLine of what is that? Name comma n. Now what? Cout. Let us print the name first. Then I'll again pass the same list of same function in order to find where the minimum and maximum in that string. So while I am passing, instead of a, I have to pass name. N is updated n. Answer will be getting updated. Answer will be getting updated. Are you deleting before? No, I'm not deleting. So you are deleting a here. You also need to delete before that. You need to do change here. Answer of 0. This is name. Name of answer of 0. This is also name. Name of answer of 1. So delete of, isn't it? So now I'm extending the same module with the generic data type t, which is constant t star, wherein initially you are printing the minimum and maximum values using linear search. You are finding where are those indices for integer array, and later on you are applying the same concept with strings. Let us run this. Okay, so there are some errors. Line number 48. Yeah, enter the name. Enter the value of n. Let me enter 5 again. Okay, so with the values probably 45, 56, 34, 23, then 67. And no, let me enter. $56. Now enter the value of n for. Can anybody respond? Are you there? Are you listening?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Yes,
Fine.
sir.
Enter. Okay. The value of
Sir.
n. CORONA. I think 7. 7. Okay. I think flush. Flush, right? What is that? Scene dot ignore.
Sir, shouldn't we,
Yeah, tell me. Go ahead. Somebody is saying
sir, shouldn't there be buffer a generic data type?
where. Oh, okay. Buffer. Buffer is not a.
Buffer should be in generic data type in function.
No. It is not generic. I'll tell you why. Why it is not generic? Because you are catching the indices. You're not catching the values. Indices are integers. Indices.
But in string we are sending the characters to the buffer, which is in int.
Mm, no. See, you are checking a of I. What is a of I? In the case of integer, it is integer. Okay. Now, in the case of character, a of I is a character. Now, what is a of min? A of min is also is a character. But what is buffer? Buffer is going to make the indices, minimum index, and the indices are always integers. Okay. Probably what you can also do is you can change this as a T. You can also change this as T star. So in that case, you are printing the minimum and maximum here, and you are carrying away the answers. So you will not get a control of indices in main. So here directly you can use what?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you got it, right? You got it. Yeah. So let me run this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Annotation decline 127. Okay. N, let us say 5. Again, some numbers 45, 34, 23, 56, and 50. Now he is asking enter the value of n, maybe what was V6, name VASAI. Minimum is A. I should not enter the duplicate. Anything? Anyway, fine. Vasavi. Value is getting printed as space. Value is at 5. Okay, maximum is correct. Minimum is not getting. I think it is not 6. Some problem in the logic. Check it out. Maximum is correct. Minimum is at 5. Get min max name n comma answer. Okay. Okay. What is the value of n we are passing? The value of n we are passing is this n. Which n? This n. Okay. N is 6. Let me re-execute this with only 2 data samples of integers. N is 2. Say 3. BCE. Minimum is at 0, 1, 2. Minimum, maximum is correct. Where is the error? Identify the function, okay, int star buff. P star of 0. Okay, so look into this. Anybody can find where is the error? There is some small bug.
Sir, once try with new care of.
New care of
Sir, once try with new care of.
n, is it?
N.
That.
Once try, sir.
Yeah. Because okay, let me check. 2 again, 5 and then 7. 3. CVE. I'm intentionally giving C. Okay. Minimum there is a problem. Name, see that fellow is not printing. He is not printing name. That means it is not string. He is not concatenating with null. Maybe problem with this IDE. Just check it out. Okay. Or you use a single word. Why to use getLine? Use a single word. Remove that getLine fellow. Where is that? Where is that? Ignore, and this fellow is causing us problem. So what you do is directly use C in name. Okay. Keep +1 only. Because name he is not printing. That means he is not considering that as a string. Somewhere something else needs to be done. Line number 50.
Sir, C in capital N.
Okay.
Capital N.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so 4 elements. 3, 1, 4, 2. 1 and then 4. Again, let us see. C. Minimum is C and maximum is T. I don't know whether this will. Ignore that get line. It is issue with the compiler. Okay, so leave that. Anyway, is the concept is clear? How to write the generic function? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
let me check the participants.
Yes, sir.
There are 51 participants are there. 154, 54 not there. Okay, fine. So now next is how to write a C++ class template. Maybe shall we discuss that in the next class? Or you want me to continue? No answer. Are you following? Are you following? What happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us take up the next class, which is okay. So devise a C++ STL. Shall I take this maybe tomorrow's class?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The point is the importance of C++ function template is being justified, and are you in a position to appreciate its importance? Somebody talk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you want me to slide the? You want me to share the PPT as well as the programs. I think I have not copied the last program. Let me copy that. Otherwise, I'll again forget that. I have to copy and let me this down. Yeah, paste. Okay, so I have done this copying one, and I'll share these programs along with the slides for your cross reference. And please inform to those students to go through the lecture or the class what we have discussed in today's session. In the next class, we will implement 1 or 2 examples of C++ class templates. So subsequently, next will be the data structures. Okay. So how to create and write C++ programs to maintain a singly linked list and data structures related problems. Okay, so now before I sign off, I have already given all the 6 questions of assignment 2. So there are students who have not done the second assignment. So I request all those students to make ensure that you are completing the assignments in all aspects on or before 21st. No, 20th April. And tentatively, I am scheduling the quiz on you said Thursday, right? 23rd. You want me to conduct on 23rd? Or you want me to conduct on 20th? So I'll again reconfirm the date tomorrow same time, because we have a class tomorrow again. If I'm correct, 3 o'clock. We have a class at 3 o'clock, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll again meet tomorrow 3 o'clock, and you please make sure that you have dropped your roll number in the chat box. Quiz, syllabus, everything till tomorrow. Starting from quiz 1 where we have left, that includes even first internal portion also. Okay. So let me stop here, and let me also stop the recording here. And be safe. Don't go out for unnecessary small reasons, because now we all can witness that there are many cases which are coming in thousands now. So be safe and stay safe. Okay. So I'm signing off. I'll again log into the system at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Bye. Please acknowledge anybody. Is it okay? 123.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine.